Hi there, welcome to class. My name is Nora, if we haven't met before, and this is a class focusing on hip mobility with a specific attention towards hip flexion as well as external rotation in the legs. So basically a good prep for getting into deeper hip openers like pigeon pose. We're going to get started right away today. Just a note before we get started, if there's something I'm offering today that doesn't work for you, you're always welcome to skip it, modify it, add something else in, or rest in child's pose. If there's somewhere you want to linger for a longer amount of time, that's the nice thing about a pre-recorded class. You can pause the video or simply continue with what you need to do for your body today while I blather on about whatever else we're doing. So take it at your own pace, do what you need to do for you. We'll start in a cross-legged seat, and we'll start with the right shin in front. Right shin in front. Let's sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back and down, and blink the eyes closed. Take a big breath in through the nose. Sigh it out. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the palms together and slide it into heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands into heart center. Take a breath. Let it go. Let's bring the palms down in front of the shins, and we'll start just by easily swaying the torso side to side. And as you sway, you'll feel the stretch in the hips and the low back switch from side to side. If you're not feeling that yet, try walking the hands out a little bit further. Yeah. This isn't super intense. We're not looking to come to our edge right away. We're mostly just waking the hips up with some gentle movement. If you want more, you can always walk the hands further forward in space. You can also try dropping the forearms down to the earth if you like that. And let's start to bring the head into this. So drop the chin to the chest, let the shoulders get loose. Try walking it over to the right, a little bit of swaying over to this side. And walk it over to the left, a little bit of swaying over to this side. Take it back through center. Walk the hands back towards the shins, and then take the hands behind the hips. Lean back, and we'll switch the cross of the legs, left shin in front. Hands to the earth in front of the shins, a little bit of swaying. Now, as we move through today's, not quite a flow, we're going to be moving a little bit slower than that and a little bit less connected than a flow. But as we move through postures today, you'll definitely find that there are imbalances between the hips, between the hip flexors, between the upper thighs. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being imbalanced. Most of us are imbalanced in ways that we don't even realize in the body. So right now, make a pact with yourself to work with whatever it is you have today, regardless of those imbalances. Take it over to one side, walk it through center and over to the other. And walk it through center. And then all the way back up to that tall seat. Let's pull the navel back into the spine. And then take the arms out in front of you like you're sitting at a high countertop. Hands are resting on the countertop. We'll keep the right heel where it is. Take your left foot to the outer edge of your mat. And you're flexing the toes so the heel is pressing down. Lean to your right sitting bone. And then place your left knee where the left heel is right now. Woo! And then bring the heel back to where the knee is. We're just going to work these two positions for a little bit. Now, oftentimes in yoga postures, when we're opening up the hips, we're doing it passively. We're not engaging any of the muscles around the hips as we're finding a deeper opening there. And what we're doing right here is engaging the muscles around the hip joints and working our active range of motion. So you might think, I'm a person who has pretty open hips, and this is really hard. That's because this is our active range of motion as opposed to our passive range of motion. Next time that the knee lands on the earth, go ahead and let it land there. And let's start to find a 90-90 with the seat. You might need to wiggle things around a little bit. So you want to bring your shin, I'm going to turn so I can mirror what you're doing. You want to bring this front shin so that it's parallel to the top end of the mat. And then notice where your knee is in space. You want to make sure that it's right in line with the hip, so it's not too far over to the right side of the mat and it's not too close to the left side. Now let's bring some attention to the left knee as well. Make sure you've got 90 degrees at the knee and that the knee is in line with the hip. Flex both feet so you've got 90 degrees at the ankles as well. Palms frame the front foot. Take a moment, just see if you can bring both knees to the earth. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders back. And then let's take the left hand behind the hip. Keep the right knee down. Spin onto the ball of the left foot and lift the left knee up towards the sky. Now, if this right knee is picking up off the earth, you've gone too far. You want to keep that right knee down as you open the left knee towards the back of the mat for a big inner groin stretch. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, we'll flip this 90-90 seat all the way to the back of the mat. So the right knee comes down and we're facing the back of the mat now. Make sure that you've got your knees lined up with the hips. They're not too far forward, not too far back, and you're flexing through the feet. And then let's take the left palm out to the left side. So you're kind of leaning into this left hand. It'll look like this, leaning to the left side. The more that you lean over to the left side, the easier this will be. Now, you're going to bring the right palm onto the left knee, so your front knee. And what we're going to do here is try to lift the left foot, left heel, left ankle, left shin off of the floor. Now, you're not going to get very far. That's okay. What we're doing here is priming the external rotation of the legs. We're trying to peel the lower leg up. We're trying to turn this left thigh down towards the floor. Now, you might lean out a little bit further and it'll get a little bit easier to lift the lower leg. Knee stays down. You can also try doing this without the hand. Try to keep the knee down while lifting the rest of that shin up. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, release. Whew. Walk back to center. Find a nice tall seat. This time, palms frame the front thigh. We're going to lift up the entire shin from the heel to the knee this time. Big breath in. Navel back, lift. Woo. And what we're doing here is priming hip flexion, so the ability to pull the thigh in towards the chest. Now, ideally here, you're lifting left heel to the same height as the left knee. Now, this can be pretty challenging, so like me, you might have a little bit of a slant here. That's okay. As best as you can, lift the heel more than you lift the knee. You've got one more big breath in. And exhale, release. Woof. Woof. That's a lot. All right, we'll take it back to the other side. So I'm going to swing around so I can mirror what you're going to be doing here. You've got your 90-90 here. Take the right hand behind the hip. Set the right sitting bone down. Pivot onto the right heel. Right knee opens towards the sky. Left knee stays down. We're leaning back onto the palms. And breathe through the nose. And out through the nose. And then we'll flip this 90-90 seat all the way back to the top of the mat. Make sure knee is in line with hip, knee is in line with hip, feet are flexed. Let's take it to this side. So lean the right hand out to the right edge of the mat. The more you lean out, the easier this will be. The more you stay upright, the harder this is. Left hand comes to the right knee. Big breath in. Exhale, navel back. Try to lift right heel, right ankle, right shin off the floor. Woo. And we're breathing. We're breathing, working with this external rotation. Experiment a little bit here. Try taking your right hand further out. The more you lean, the easier it'll be to lift that shin. You can even try sitting up a little bit here. Notice how that makes it harder to find the external rotation. Last breath. And exhale, release. Palms frame the front thigh. Sit up nice and tall. Both feet are flexed. Big inhale. Navel back. Lift your whole right leg from the knee to the heel. A little bit of flexion. Try to lift your heel more than your knee. And go, one more breath. Exhale, set it down. Whew. All right. From here, take the left hand behind you. Bring both knees pointing towards the sky. Lean back. Windshield wipe the knees from side to side. Let's just rinse that out a little bit. Good. Cross the ankles. Spin back to the top of the mat. Roll over the knees. Plant the palms. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Notice already how the hips are feeling a little bit different than when you started. Maybe a lot different than when you started. From down dog, inhale, lift your right leg up and back. Exhale, step the right foot outside of the right hand for lizard pose. Keep the back knee lifted, rock back and forth on the back toes. Notice how the length through the front of the left hip feels today. You might even feel this in the underbelly of the right thigh. Drop the back knee down, untuck the back toes, take a moment to broaden the heart space forward. And then bend the elbows a little bit. Notice if you can drop your right ribs inside the right thigh. If you can get those ribs down inside the right thigh, you might consider bringing the forearms to the earth. Now, if this is not accessible or comfortable for you, you can always take an in-between by putting some blocks or books underneath the elbows. You're also welcome to stay at tall arms. Let's drop the head down, release the back of the neck and the shoulders. Big breaths through the nose. And as you're breathing here, can you let your left hip get a little bit heavier with each exhale? Inhale, come back up, tall arms. Tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. Inhale, three-legged dog, lift it up and back. And exhale, knee to nose. Step the right foot up between the palms. Now, let's walk the foot over towards the left half of the mat. So you've got this kind of center line between the palms. Line up the pinky edge side of your foot with that center line between the palms. And then roll to the outer edge of your foot. Sole of the foot peels up. Knife edge of the foot stays down. Right knee drops out to the right for almost pigeon pose. Take a couple of breaths. Just notice how this big external rotation feels. If you feel good, you can drop the back knee down and release the back toes. Again, we're letting this right hip and front of left hip get heavier. If you want more here, you can tuck the back toes, walk the knee back in space. One more breath. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee to the right wrist. Take the toes over towards the right side of the mat as we set up for full pigeon pose. Flex the right toes, walk the back toes down until the outer right hip lands. If it doesn't land, you can also set blocks or a towel or a pillow underneath that right hip. And then rather than just dropping right down into pigeon right away, let's work with some of those same skills we were finding in our 90-90 seat. So we aren't actually going to pick up the shin, but I just want you to bring those actions in here. Can you imagine lifting your right heel and right shin up off of the floor, keeping the knee grounded for a little bit more external rotation through that right thigh? And then imagine lifting up the entire shin from the heel to the knee and pulling it in towards the chest for some more flexion through the hip crease. Big breath in, lift the heart. And as you melt the chest down towards the shin, think about pulling the shin up towards the chest. And relax the head, neck, and shoulders. We have 5 breaths here. Inhale, come up to tall arms. And exhale, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. And roll around through the foot and through the knee. Rinse that out. And we meet in down dog for the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up and back. Exhale, step the left foot outside the left hand. Middle rocking forward and back on the back toes. How does front of right hip feel? This side will be different than the last. An option to drop the back knee down, untuck the back toes. Breathe in to lift the heart, broaden your collarbones. And exhale to drop down onto the forearms if that's accessible and comfortable for you. Head releases. Breathe for 3. Inhale, tall arms. Tuck the back toes. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the left foot up between the palms. This time, walk the foot over to the right so that the pinky edge side of the foot is lined up with the center of your mat. Let the knee drop out to the left, spinning onto the pinky edge side of the left foot. Take a moment, notice how things feel. If they're feeling okay, you can drop the back knee and tuck the back toes. Big external rotation for this left hip. If you want more, tuck the back toes, walk the back knee further back in space. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to the left wrist. Toes to the right side of the mat, flex the toes back towards the shin, walk the back knee out until the outer left hip lands, or you can always place something underneath it. And then we'll bring in those same skills again. So we're not actually going to do it, but I want you to visualize what this feels like in your body because you've already done it. It's just much harder to do it from this setup for pigeon. So try to imagine lifting from the left heel, left ankle, left shin, up off the floor while the knee stays grounded for a little bit more external rotation through this left thigh. At the same time, imagine lifting the entire piece up for a little bit more hip flexion. Breathe in. As you melt the chest, imagine the entire left shin lifting up towards the chest as the chest also moves towards the floor. Head gets heavy. Back of the neck long, shoulders melt. 5 rounds of breath. Inhale, tall arms. Exhale, tuck the back toe. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Circle through the foot, circle through the knee, getting into ankle and hip joint. And then we meet in downward facing dog. And drop the knees, cross the ankles behind you, roll over the feet, and we'll meet in Dandasana, staff pose. So stretch the legs long in front of you. Feet can be together or hip width apart, depending on what feels good for you. Take the hands down to the floor, palms pressing down, shoulders roll back, navel back. All right, we'll do a little bit more mobility work in the hips here. So without using your hands, bend your right knee and slide the right heel back. So you're hugging the knee into the chest. Again, we're playing with that hip flexion, the ability to pull the right thigh in towards the chest. Now, without using your hands, take the right heel out to the right knee out to the right. We're finding 90 degrees at that right seat. You're going to lean to the left sitting bone to get that knee all the way down to the floor. Now, you want the knee in line with the hip, not too far forward, not too far back. Right toes are flexing. You have two options with where you're going to take this. So, option one, easier option, hands walk over to the left side of your leg, finding a big twist here. And then you can walk the hands down as far as it feels good. And we're breathing. Second option, and this is going to be a little bit harder, a little bit more of a folding action. Palms frame the front thigh. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward over the thigh, and then melt yourself down to whatever degree feels good. 3 rounds of breath wherever you've chosen. Keep the left toes flexing. Keep the right toes flexing. And as much as you can, keep your right sitting bone on the earth. And if it's popped up like mine is, that's okay. Inhale, come back up to a tall seat. And then we'll come back the same way we came in. So I like to take my hands on opposite shoulders, arms across the chest, just to keep them out of the way. Lean to the left sitting bone. Peel the right shin up off of the floor. Right knee comes back into the chest, back to center. This time, open the knee out to the right. Right sole of the foot connects to the left inner thigh for a Janu Sirsasana variation. So imagine that you've got a rubber band wrapped around this right knee and then all the way around this left foot. And they're connected by this rubber band. I want you to stretch this rubber band apart. So drive your right knee down and pull it towards the back of the mat. At the same time, your left heel is driving forward. Big breath in. Exhale, melt over the front thigh. And as you're in this fold, again, think about stretching that rubber band. Right knee is pulling down and back. Left heel is pushing forward. It doesn't matter how close you can bring your chest to your thigh. What matters is how big an opening you can create in this right low back, right side body region. Inhale, come back up to a tall seat. Exhale, stretch the right leg long. Same thing, other side. Come back to your Dandasana position. You might need to move some flesh out from underneath your sitting bones so you really feel your seat connecting to the floor. From here, slide the left heel in. Left knee comes tight to the chest without the use of the hands. Hip flexion. Lean to the right sitting bone. Heel opens to the left. Left knee lands on the earth in line with the left hip. Flex the left toes. Same two options on this side. Both hands to the outside of the leg for a twisting option. Hands walk down and out. Or hands frame the front thigh. Now this side is my bad side. This is a much tighter hip on this side. So my forward fold isn't going to be as deep here. I might even actually take the other variation, giving myself what I need rather than forcing myself to do what I did on the last side. And we're here for 3 breaths. Left knee pins down to the floor. Maybe that left sitting bone is on the earth. And inhale, walk back to center. Hands cross over the chest. Left knee comes back into the chest. Open the knee out to the left. Sole of the foot connects to the right inner thigh. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, melt over the front thigh. Right heel drives forward. This rubber band is being stretched all the way to this left knee, which is driving down and towards the back of the mat. A lot of opening for the left side body here. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, left knee turns in, send it long. Let's stretch the arms forward, palms turn up. Reach forward through the arms and the legs, pull the navel back and down, and take some time to roll over the tailbone, the sacrum, and the low back. And when you get to that point where you feel like, oh no, I can't control it, I'm just gonna flop to the earth, reach forward through the arms and legs, pull the navel back, slow yourself down. Our lack of controlled motion is often not because we don't have the muscular strength to support it. We don't have the patience. Let the head arise. Get yourself comfortable on your back. And then let's pull the right knee into the chest. I'd rather not into the chest, but let's stack right knee over hip. So it's not tight to you, but right knee over hip. We'll work a little bit more rotation in the thigh here. Take your heel over towards the right side of the mat. We're finding internal rotation from the thigh here. So as the lower leg is moving over to the right, the thigh is rotating in towards the center line of the body. Take a breath in. And then we'll take it the opposite direction. So heel turns in towards the center line of the body, knee stays stacked over the hip, and the thigh is rotating out towards the outer edge of the mat. Bend the left knee, bring the left sole of the foot to the floor, cross right ankle over left knee for figure 4. Now, without using your hands, try pushing the right knee towards the top of the mat, and you'll feel a bigger opening through that hip. At the same time, stamp your low back and sacrum down into the floor. You might even use the core to push down through that lower half of the torso. Open the arms wide, big breath in. Drop this leg setup exactly as it is over to the left. Outer edge of the left thigh lands, right knee is pointing towards the sky. Now, rather than letting this foot rest on the floor, hover it, push the ankle into the knee, and then try to draw this right knee back towards the heel that's on the floor. Finding even more opening through the hip. An option to look right if you want to make this feel more like a twist. Inhale, take the knees back up to center. Exhale, right leg goes long. Hug the left knee in so that it stacks over the hip. Flex left toes. Let's turn the heel towards the outer edge of the mat. Thigh is internally rotating. How far can you take that heel over to the left, keeping the knee stacked over the hip? You might be able to see I'm shaking here. This is taking a lot of external hip work. For me, those muscles are pretty weak. I'm working on rebuilding that strength. So if you're shaking here too, you're not alone. Let's turn the heel in, knee still stays stacked over the hip, finding external rotation through the thigh. Bend the right knee, slide the right heel to the floor, left ankle crosses the right knee. Without using the hands, push the left knee away from you, just using inner thigh strength and the strength of the hip. And then stamp your tailbone and low back into the ground. Again, left knee moves away from you. You might find that that changes the feeling in the hip. And open the arms into a T shape. Drop this leg set up over to the right. Left heel stays hovering. Push this left heel into the right knee. And then try to open your left knee towards the right heel that's on the floor. Option to look left. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, hug both knees in. Give yourself a little roll around on the low back. And then let's take full happy baby. Catch the outer edges of the feet, pull down towards the knees. You can also take the hands into the backs of the knees and pull down from there instead. A little bit of rocking side to side across the low back. Gently release. This might be all the time that you have available today to practice. If so, thank you so much for joining me. If you have time for a brief Shavasana, let's take it there. Extend the legs long, arms long at your sides. Couple rounds of breath. Take a big breath in through the nose. Sigh it out. Wiggle fingers and toes. Drop one ear to the mat and then the other, massaging the back of the skull. And on a big breath in, reach the arms overhead, full body stretch. And exhale, knees into the chest. Roll to your right side. And press up to a seat. Keeping the eyes closed as best you can. And as you land in your comfortable seat, take the hands into heart center. Allow yourself a moment of gratitude just for showing up, being present, and working on some very, very difficult things in the hips today. Take a big breath in, thumbs up to the third eye between the brows. Offer your exhale to the room. As we bow forward in reverence to each other, together we say, Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice and your presence with me today. If you enjoyed this class, please take another. I would love to have you join me again on the mat. You're also very welcome to send me feedback, whether that's through direct message or in the comment section. If there's something you want to work on specifically, please let me know. If there's a pose or a body part, I would love to hear your feedback. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I also teach live classes through Zoom at the moment. If you'd like to join me for a live class, please check my Instagram for the schedule. Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon. Until then, namaste.